Welcome everyone to the Global Exclusive Podcast with me and Dream. Hey Dream.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we don't have any of the more exciting guests this week, right?
yeah, this is a boring week, both in-game
Yeah,
and for us.
yeah. But hey, we're gonna try to do the best of it. Make the best of the shit cards we've been dealt with this banner and so on. Although the week is exciting in
Yeah, the,
itself,
the,
right?
the stuff after the banner's good.
Exactly. So like we're gonna do the classical cliffhanger. Stick around to actually listen to the good stuff, but we're gonna talk about the shitty stuff first. So what is the shitty stuff?
We got a few mages from part 2 of this Warrior's Prayer stuff, which should have been Asura Shrine pilgrimage, but we missed the story event, so now it's all kind of without context.
Yeah. So interesting that you call them mages when others would say they are STMRs.
Honestly, like their damage is serviceable. It's just not amazing, and they are boring.
I mean, their modifiers are the same as pause. You know when pause came out?
Oh, come on, they're a little better than Paws.
I mean, I don't know. I guess like you've done the math, but like I'm guessing they have more stats, but they
Yeah,
have a
more
300x LB mod.
well, they have innate weapon imperils for themselves, so
So
that
there's that
helps
at
a
least,
lot.
yeah. And they are, I guess, stronger against their specific type. So I should have maybe led with that, but each of them has a increased LB mod against a certain race, and I think it's Reaper for Leftia, right?
Yeah, Reaper for Leftia.
And it is what for Poppy? Stone? No,
Mm,
plants,
plant.
plants. But she has
Yeah,
killers against stone and plant on the same LB, which is a bit confusing.
yeah,
So tell me, kit wise, are these units pretty much identical, right? That's what I
so
heard.
there's slight differences. Like their SLBs are their main sources of damage,
Right.
and those are identical to each other, just with like wind and earth throwing imperil versus mace imperil, and yeah, the Reaper versus plant mod on the first hit, which so they get 301 against any race, 360 against their preferred race. Their base LBs have a store effect on the end of them, so you want to use that the turn before the SLB. Then you're getting 700% magic buff, which is decent. That's part of why they hit a bit harder.
Yeah.
And then in terms of differences, Leftia has some decent mod boost to, I think it's Stoneger
Yeah.
+3. So she can do some alright chaining damage with that as well.
Yeah, it's on
But
her. She has a cooldown. It
yeah,
is an 8 turn cooldown, and the
yeah, so she
modifiers
can
only
get
increase for 3 turns, but it's at least there, and it's for all allies.
everything.
So
Yeah, so she could do decently with Dark Fina from last week with some earth chaining, I guess.
right, would
But
Roka be able to help out here? Does Roka have any of this? Like if you're bringing her for
she
Earth
might
support,
have the spell, but yeah, her base mod's bad and her magic's bad, so she won't be contributing that much damage. But I guess she can add to the chain.
right, right.
Um, so yeah,
But
that's
pretty bare bones kit, unfortunately, right? It's the
yeah,
Alien SLB design.
it's
They have so Leftia
pretty
has four
standard out.
abilities and Poppy has five, and that's counting the multicast. So it's really not great, unfortunately.
Yeah, not amazing. But yeah, and then instead of the sort of decent chaining stuff that Leftia has, Poppy has some very mild support in like an HP barrier and some long cooldowns that I think are basically lifted from 7-star Poppy's kit.
I
There's
think
one that
Cesar
just kind
mentioned
of
that on the news day that's what they
yeah,
did. They took some of the
yeah,
abilities straight from her 7 star kit.
there's the single target revive mitigate and element resist and the AoE LB for one.
Yeah,
So like maybe they have some use, but they're not great.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like we have much better mages right now.
Yeah,
Um, a while back, this would have been still okay because there weren't many mages, but now there are. So it's really like the thing. I mean, let's actually talk about it. The biggest thing with them is actually their STMRs or STMR, I'm gonna say, because I have no fucking idea how you're gonna use a magic mace that Poppy has.
Yeah, that one's a bit more limited.
I
But yeah,
don't even know who the
basically
fuck equips it.
their STMRs are the starts of like dishing out all of the two-handed magic weapons of different types now that they get variants. So
Right,
Puppy's
right.
got mace, Lefty has got throwing weapon, which I guess is nice for a couple other units like Renoa if you somehow want to use her.
Yeah, since I was saying Renault can equip rods, so it's not a huge deal. However, one thing I want to lift with both of these STMRs is that they actually have a 100% TDH on them as well. So they're going to help out with gearing
Mm,
units
oh,
that are
very-
innately TDW.
but not as much as Dark Fena's whip because that has 200% on it.
Yeah, obviously Dark Phoenix whip is better, but it's not bad. Like the throwing
Something, it's
weapon,
something.
if you like units like I guess Renoa, I guess like Tiana, um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tiana's a good one for it because she's actually got somewhat relevant damage for Clash and a good throwing in peril. So yeah, it's nice
right.
for her.
Right. Well, relevant. Now you're being very generous when you're saying
Yeah.
relevant damage for Clash, but yeah,
Mm, it's not the worst if you can take the time to stack up.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, yeah, you're being very generous
Yeah.
still.
Well, it's
Um,
something.
it
They
is
could
something.
be
It is
worse.
something.
They
And I
could be
mean, you're
worse.
gonna.
They could be the third unit we got this week.
Yes, they could. They could. They could. And maybe we should move on to the third unit. Is
Yeah.
there something to say about the? Well, we should probably mention their TMRs because they're actually really good
Yeah.
for both of them because
This
they are
is
one of these bulky items that we saw like on Rain on
yeah.
Dark Fina's banner too, right?
Yeah, this is the start of JP puts a bunch of HP on a lot of damage dealer gear and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, they're good. I think they're mage only accessories, but they have good flat stats and then a ton of extra HP and a 75% killer on them. So yeah, those are really nice
Yep. Yep. I
as
mean,
mages.
we're just seeing in this cow how bulk actually becomes relevant, and that might happen again. So some of these accessories will actually be really good to have.
Yeah, they're handy pickups if you get a copy, but not really something to chase.
Yeah.
And then
So
they both have the same card, which is like a good budget magic card for FFB units. 110 base, 300 flat, bit of stats, nothing too exciting.
yeah, I mean it's better than Fryevia's card for
Yeah,
Magic for
yeah,
FB
so
units. So there's that. It's actually pretty good.
yeah, sort of matches the one that was on Roberta's banner
Mm,
from the step up, but obviously not quite as good as Dark Grains or Dyes, but they're a bit harder to get.
yeah. So you were telling me something about a really shitty last one before.
Mm. We got Laswell cosplaying as Dark Knight Cecil, who, because of
Well,
his
and
kit,
Paladin
yeah,
Cecil.
yeah, when I first saw his kit, I thought he was free, and he
Yeah.
is not.
Well, he's
Yeah,
almost free. I should
mm,
think.
yeah.
What
Well,
is it like?
he's on like a 20K budget banner or something,
Yeah,
like X2 Riku was, because like we know this unit's bad, we're gonna release it and make you pay for it anyway, and add
yeah,
it to the general pool.
which is
But
a
yeah,
bit depressing.
pretty awful.
Um, and it seems like he's actually just really, really bad. His mods are terrible. Is there any saving grace to this unit
Mm.
at all?
He's a JP unit with elemental flexibility, which is rare. But
Yeah, and he's not an SLB unit. But I
yeah,
think doesn't that come from him being quite similar to actual Laswell, NV Laswell?
yeah, he needs to use cooldowns that like buff his LB mod and imbue him. Um, and they're on 3-turn cooldowns. That's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, and his card is literally Laswell's card again. They didn't make a new one for him.
Yeah,
The
exactly. So
one,
it's so much of a copy. Like it's, I guess, for diehard Laswell fans.
I guess so.
Um, but
The
yeah,
one nice thing that he does have is STMR is 100% LB damage materia for mages.
yeah. I was
So
saying,
that's kind
like,
of handy.
Cesar was even trying to downplay that in the news day, and I was like, okay, but this is actually pretty decent. This is actually
Yeah.
not bad.
Like it's got no extra offensive stats on it. Like compare this to the all you need is strength materia we got
Sure,
from like
sure.
the
I mean,
armory.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Of
yeah,
course, that
like
one is much better, but still, like this,
yeah,
this is unlimited in a way. If you pull unlimited last wills,
yeah,
which to be fair, I hope nobody does because that would really suck. But still, if you pull unlimited last wills, it's you can get unlimited amounts of this.
yeah, and
So,
like
is there anything more to say about this unit? Like, I guess the sprite is cool in a weird way because it's so it's actually um, he's Dark Knight Cecil in his base form, and when he shifts into his magic form, just like Enemy Last Will, he becomes Paladin Cecil.
mm,
Um, but like thematically, it fits really weird because again, he's still a mage in his shift form, and yeah,
yeah,
it's just weird. I don't even know where these units came from. Somebody told me
I
it was for the 25th Final Fantasy anniversary or something like that.
might have
Um,
been. I don't remember. There wasn't really like a specific event with them or anything. The one interesting thing is his counterpart, Warrior of Light Rain, is
mhm,
not here. So I guess
exactly.
they probably throw him up on a similar banner in a couple weeks.
Yeah. And I wonder why, but yeah, as you're saying, like he's probably going to come. He's probably going to just be, um, watering down the pool later on. And these units are
Yeah.
really watering down the pool, so that really sucks. We need this pool improvement, or we need. What did they call it last time when they did it for 7 stars? When they just
Was it
narrowed down the pool.
was it like refinement
Yeah,
that they
pool
used?
refinement. We need pool unshittifying, all right? Because like I cannot pull more shitty EX ticket units, okay?
You need
Like,
to
it
clean the
was
pool.
yeah, we need to clean the pool. We need to clean all the poop from the pool, all right? We had kids in the pool and they've been pooping and this poop needs to go. But yeah,
Gotcha.
so I wish nobody pulls this unit. I really do.
Very much.
So that was for the banners. We did already kind of prepare the listeners that that was going to be underwhelming. It was, but we
That's the
did
bad
get a lot
part
of
of the
fun
week.
stuff. It is the
Yeah,
past.
we got not one but kind of two trials, which is neat. A rare occurrence.
Yeah, and it's actually two pretty interesting trials in a way. One of them may be
Yeah.
easier than the other. So let's maybe start with the easier one. We got a new 12
Yeah,
types
sure.
takedown insect,
Yes,
right?
Gloomwing the insect trial. Well, I think has a very cool sprite, to be honest.
Yes, I actually
Big
love the sprite.
eyes. Yeah,
Just as I was waiting for Dream's tired ass to get up out of bed and start recording this episode with me, I was actually gearing my team for it and looking at the wiki page and like, wow, it's actually a really cool sprite.
yeah. I quickly did the trial before going to sleep last night after maintenance, but I might revisit it for a video or something. But yeah,
Right.
it's
So
pretty neat. It's like it's not it's not too tricky or complicated, but I like it feels like a classic trial, like you need all of the basic bits covered
right.
and then
Like
got
you
like
mean
a
like
couple small
mitigations,
bits.
and
Yeah,
you
you
need
need
mitigations for your entire team because there will be fixed damage to your entire team, and stuff
doesn't
like
hurt
that,
too
which is
hard with
nice.
good breaks. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like there's untyped magic to cover, there's a couple nasty effects to provoke, there's ailments for the team.
We should probably
Just
mention that one of the big tricks with this boss is the single target berserk that the boss
yeah,
will
that
do permanently, really, unless you cure it. But otherwise, it's going to be permanent on your unit.
as that starts after turn 3 and every third turn for 3 turn duration. So yeah, if you don't cure it at all, it'll be permanently berserking your provoker. But there are some windows to dispel it and still get a couple turns.
Yeah,
But it's handy to use a provoker that has a useful basic attack.
exactly. People are saying, like, you have Kresnik that can be filling LBs
Mm,
for your party. There are a couple of more of these units that actually have a basic attack that helps your party.
mm.
I just can't think of any others.
I'd say, yeah, big ones are Kresnik for LB fill, Runda for MP refill,
Oh,
Sylvie
right.
also does MP refill, and Celeste can apply cover with her basic.
Yeah, that's the trick with Celeste is that you can combine a provoker and cover tank in one, because Celeste will keep reapplying cover. But as Dream reminded me just before this episode started, you're gonna need mitigations from another source though, because Celeste will not be putting these up.
because otherwise the like the typeless magic damage will probably kill her, I'd imagine, with no mitigations at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be pretty
So
rough.
so
Yeah.
that still
There's
needs to
also
come from somewhere.
a big a big fire magic AoE and a 300% imperil. So you want to gear for high fire resist on your cover tank. If you can
Yeah.
get to 400, you can immune it,
Yeah,
but
400
you might
with
not need
buffs,
to.
obviously, but yeah,
Yeah.
which is actually not that difficult to gear for, really. I
No,
felt
it,
like.
it it wasn't too bad. I mean, I ended up gearing 400 without buffs even.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm bringing Sylvie, so I'm gonna have a
Mm.
permanent 80% at least, so I wouldn't have to
Yeah,
bring anything
she's not
more.
the one being berserked.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the elements. So this is not said in the strategy window in game, but this trial is actually, well, I'm not going to say element locked, but it has two preferred elements, and it's wind and ice, right, with a -50 resistance to both.
Yeah, wind and ice are preferred with -50. Fire and dark are still potentially viable with +50. The others are like +180, so don't use them.
Yeah, just, I mean, I guess like if you have a 135 in peril or something, you still can,
Yeah,
obviously,
you do
but
damage, but not
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. So for sure, like a lot of people are probably going to be doing ice and wind. And one great unit for ice is obviously one of my favorites. It's Freyavia. She brings everything to the table when it comes to ice. Well, everything to the table except damage, I guess, if you,
Yeah,
depending on who you ask. Although she
but
does
like
do some damage, like it's not zero. She does do
mm,
damage.
yeah. I mean, I didn't use her for any damage, partly because mine's only EX1 and doesn't have her STMR. But
Ah, okay, okay.
she can do both the ice support and the breaks, which is quite handy
To be
when you're
honest,
trying to hit 5.
I found that Aurora Freyavia's STMR is actually pretty decent because I have the same problem where I'm equipping her STMR on my Roberta. But actually, Aurora Freyavia's is not that bad on her.
Yeah, I mean that's what I put on her, but I was like, you have like 5.5k magic right now. You're not doing too much.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
But yeah,
Stats do take a hit.
so yeah, I had Chow covering and doing ailment resist, and then his counters also like counter same way you use it in Clash. Also sorted out HP and MP healing. I
Hmm.
had Sylvie provoking the Berserk because she also basic attacks MP, but then Freyvia doing ice support and breaks, and also finger snapping Sylvie sometimes, so she could also get some turns to do insect killer rather than
Ah, you were
just being
using
always
Sylvie as
Berserk.
your taunter.
Yeah, she was my provoker, and
Yeah,
then double Esther for damage because that's classic and good.
right, right, right. Of course, that works. That works. There is a
Yeah,
mission for a 5-man team, so I'm gonna bring non-dupes to this and just try to beat it with my own units. That's kind of my plan. To see how I can figure that out. But with Sylvie and Freyavia on the team, a lot of the support is already solved. Both of them have mitigations, elemental support, and so on. So it's just about figuring out the damage for a 15 turn mission, right?
yeah. I mean, double Esther for me did it in 8, and that was with a friend that didn't have insect killer gear, so it
Okay.
could have been like 6.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for sure. Or probably less even.
Yeah,
But yeah.
uh, because of her bursting being on even turns, it probably wouldn't have been 4.
Ah, right, right. Oh yeah, Esther does
Yeah,
have that. Yeah. So I don't really have the big dick damage dealers right now. My biggest dick is, I think, well, technically my biggest dick would be Knights of Grandchild, but they are wholly locked. So I'm gonna be
yeah, not
bringing,
great here.
yes, I'm probably gonna be bringing Graf to do that 15 turn mission
Yeah.
in time.
You could imbue them with both ice and wind, and that would probably average out pretty alright.
Why?
Just, I don't
Oh,
know.
you mean to take Knights of Grandchild and give the
Yeah,
because they have three
yeah,
elements, and then yeah, I get what you're saying, but that
balance
sounds
out
like a
more.
nightmare though.
Yeah, probably if you're also trying the 5-man.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like the difference between Graph and Knights of Grandchild is like minimal
Not
uh, when it comes to damage, or at least,
well,
I mean, I don't
unless you
know how
entrust
sustain.
spam. If you entrust spam Knights of Grandchild and use their upbeat like 4 turns in a row,
Yeah,
then
yeah, exactly.
like,
Of course, they're going to pick up a lot for sure. Yeah, you're right. Because I'm just looking
Graf's
at the
not.
burst numbers, but
Yeah,
Graf has to wait for 5 turns after he
yeah.
has done his
He is,
burst. So,
his
yeah,
is like 1 turn in 8, so maybe
yeah,
not the
exactly.
best
Like,
choice.
yeah, he's gonna have 2 bursts in the entire period. So,
Yeah,
question is if there actually like there are probably other units I can bring
yeah. I know
that can
people are
do more.
using some ice mages like Cal and even Medina.
Well, I do have Cal, and I have not used Cal yet, so it could be an excellent opportunity to use Cal. But I would have to also figure out chaining for him then, because
Yeah,
his
true.
big burst comes from the whole gimmicky setup of Blizzaja, right?
Yeah, that's his best one, but his SLB is also pretty decent. It's not
Yeah,
that
but
far
he's
behind.
EX1. I'm gonna do 2
Okay, yeah,
SLBs in the fight,
yeah,
so that's kind of the problem with all of these units. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards just bringing Kaito, Roberta, and Fravia, and hoping that's just gonna be enough damage to do it in 15 turns. Like,
If you instead of just tag chaining, if you have Roberta do her jumps, that'd probably be quite effective.
yeah, it'd probably
But then,
be. I don't have Ricard gear, but yeah, it's probably gonna do a lot more damage than her
yeah,
tag
even
chains
with
for
that,
sure. Yeah, because Fravia and Kaito will be chaining, so I definitely have chains. Like,
yeah. If
chains
all
won't be a
three of
problem.
them, if all three of them are contributing to damage, I would imagine that'd be enough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it should be. Actually, it's a bit overseen, but both Fravia and Kaito actually have pretty decent DPT, like over many turns. Like their burst is shit, but their chaining abilities actually do decent damage.
Yeah,
Well,
often if
okay, depends on what
they
you
need
compare
like
with, but
they to like really get up their DPT, they probably want quite a bit of LB support. But yeah, it can be.
yeah, let's see. I'm gonna test it out a bit and have some fun. But I won't be having so much fun with the other trial because that's much more
Yeah, that,
difficult.
that one's a little more threatening.
Yeah. So we got Asura 3 star or 3 star Asura, and of course with the accompanying challenge. Um, and yeah, Dream, have you tried it yet?
Not yet because I just woke up, but I'll probably be doing that after this
Right.
in a couple hours or something.
So as I
But
understand it,
I've read up on it at least.
all right, but then you probably know more than me because the only thing I know is that it's a lot bulkier, like 36 times bulkier. Of course, hits a lot harder than the old Asura, but the 2 first phases are identical. AI, abilities, everything is identical
They're
except for the
they're
modifiers.
identical to the not Assura 2 star, but the Assura trial that we got last time, Blades into
Exactly.
Infinity.
Exactly.
And yeah, but yeah, the first 2 phases are the same as that with much higher stats. There is
Yeah. So,
something interesting with the stats though, is obviously the bases are much higher, but this one has no passives. So with a
oh,
90% attack and magic break, this one actually has lower attack than the trial one.
oh,
and
that's interesting though.
yeah.
I guess
So
like
at
Kaito
base,
can do his 90% and extend it for a
mhm,
couple of turns with his Magnus.
yeah. The two things with that though are the attack. There's an attack buff that becomes much more dangerous, and also she self dispels quite a lot, and then will be much more dangerous when not
Right.
broken.
Yeah, and the same thing with trial, like all sealing, using all elements, using mixing no elements, and
Mm.
so on is still the same thing.
Yeah, like
Um,
phase one, you have to use 2 elements, like a specific element pair each turn after turn two. An all element hit will work for those seals. Phase two, you need to not hit with more than one element per turn.
right, which is considerably easier usually because
Yeah,
you usually gear for one, or you usually go for one
yeah.
element. Um,
The
and then phase
punishment
three
for
is the nightmare, right?
Yeah, that's the new one, and that basically has lots of like dispels for both the party and the enemy, and then both on 3 turn cycles, there's a turn where you can't hit her, or she'll just instant death your whole party, and there's also a turn where she will do a 1 turn berserk on a random unit that's not provocable.
Yeah, exactly. So
You
you
just
really
lose a
need to
turn with
recover from
someone.
that. Yeah, I mean, normally that shouldn't be a problem because your tank should already have all the covers up and so on and so on. But you are losing a turn with potentially your damage dealer or your healer if you
Yeah,
need heals.
yeah. If it hits either of your damage dealers, that kind of desyncs them, and then you messes you up for that turn.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah,
So
she does like light and dark AOE's and accuracy buffs and stuff.
yeah, very. I mean, it's interesting to have another difficult trial to
Mm,
gear for and try out different combinations of units because I've been
yeah,
feeling a bit low lately because I have a lot of units, but I have nothing to use them on.
mm,
Because cow is very element specific, and when you go to DV, you just want to use the biggest penis you have, right? Um, but here we have a trial where I don't really care about the damage. I can just try out different units, and that
yeah.
could be pretty fun.
It's worth knowing that doing this fight is optional if you just want the 3-star unlock. It's similar to Bahamut, where if you just don't hit her for a few turns at the start, she'll just kind of leave and say, sure, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You need a,
Yeah,
a, a full evasion unit that just defends for 3 turns, and
yeah,
you will get the Esper. And the Esper is actually, we should mention something about that. The Esper is really powerful.
yeah. She gets like a bunch more killer nodes and stat nodes and stuff.
Seems like she's like a Bahamut, but just stronger. A lot of, not all killers like
Yeah,
Bahamut
not
does.
quite as. She's got like 3 or 4 races, I want to say, from memory.
Yeah,
So it's more narrow but powerful.
but higher stats. And so she's gonna be the new Epine Esper.
Definitely a good pickup to get the next Clash and DV and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. And next DV should be next week, right?
No, DV for this month is being skipped, and my theory is because there's only going to be a 1 week break between clashes, because like June, the quote unquote June clash was almost entirely in July, so I think they kind of want to pull that back a bit.
Ah, okay. So we're actually not getting a DV. Oh, that's a shame. I was kind of
Mm,
looking forward to a DV, actually, but
no DV till August,
no DV till August. But we're getting a Clash at least in July.
maybe. Yeah, and it might be in 1 week instead of 2, if I'm
Okay, so
correct.
that's the one that might be in 1 week. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. Um, yeah, so actually, I like this. I like Asura. I hope that this is one of those trials that I'm gonna keep revisiting, like the original Asura with new
mm,
units, just to test it out and play around with it. Because I had a lot of fun with original Asura, bringing units like Eldrin and so on. Just as soon as I got a new unit, I could bring it to that trial, and just see if they could
mm.
perform, which was a lot of fun.
I mean, it seems like phase 3 is kind of a pain in the ass, but we'll see.
Yeah, I
I've got a
mean,
bit of a
I'm
plan, so we'll
hoping to
see how
come
that
to a
goes.
point where it's not a pain in the ass. Well, I mean, obviously, I like the elements where you have to react. So I like the fact that, oh, you got berserked, so now you need to manage it. That's good. Um, the big problem there is kind of how do you cure berserk normally?
Yeah. And also the fact it's random target, the Berserk, makes it a bit tricky to deal with.
Yeah, because I want to say like dispel is one of the ways you cure berserk, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's how we
So
did it in Gloomwing.
so you don't want to fucking do it on your tank because then your tank
Not
has
really,
no cover.
because they still lose the. We actually, you don't need to dispel it because it's only 1 turn duration, so there's no point. It's
Ah,
just
okay,
what.
okay.
It's just one random unit loses their turn every third turn.
Ah, but then it's a lot less bad, honestly. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff that's gonna give me headaches, but I also want to go in, like, I don't not blind, but I want to go in with just a couple of thoughts and hints and
Mm,
discover some of this on my own, because I
yeah,
feel
like
like if I just follow a video, I'm gonna be done in 30
mm,
minutes, and it's not gonna be satisfying.
I know Sinzar's done a setup already with like a bunch of Mirage spam with Entrusting Ling, and that worked quite well. I'm going to be trying a more classic like cover setup, and yeah, I've just got basically 3 or 4 bullet points for each phase, and just going to go in with that and see how it goes.
Right, right. So what type of cover do you need for Asura? Is it still physical?
Physical. All of her damage is physical.
Right, right. So you need a physical tank and preferable or like does evasion matter at all?
Somewhat. She has some accuracy buffs, but it's not going to be up for everything. I'm like in my strat, I am using evade and am going to be trying to dispel the accuracy buff in phase 3 because otherwise I think there's sequences where she self dispels and then attacks,
Right,
so
right.
that'd be pretty dangerous. But I think her accuracy buff in phase 3 is always at the end of a turn. So
Okay.
I think
So
I'll
as
just
long
be
as
able
you
to dispel
dispel
it
it,
and
you're gonna
evade.
be fine, kind of. I get it.
But
I
you
get it.
but there in earlier phases there are times where you definitely need bulk and also want resists.
Well,
So
I'm
yeah,
happy
you
to
need
hear
that
that
support.
because I've been waiting for a trial where I can really bring a fledgling warrior and actually, utilize the almost 9,000 defense.
Mm. Yeah,
So
he should be a good choice. I'm bringing Runda the bulk guard.
yeah, Runda is just like it's so weird. I mean, Runda is actually bulkier than fledgling. I think is there any unit that actually bulkier than Runda? Maybe
no,
like Maeve and
Run,
Cow.
no, Runda is like twice as bulky as every other tank,
It's
just
so
because of
weird.
the like the way the maths works out for 85% mitigations versus like 70-75 is kind of just ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Runda is
But
just a little tank.
yeah, the dispels might cause problems because obviously can't LB and SLP every turn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think fledgling is probably a bit more of a um, safe choice in that sense
Mm.
because it's easy to bring up all the cover and mitigation the fledgling needs, or it's a little bit easier. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it'll
but
be a
let's
good
see.
choice.
Yeah,
I was
like
thinking just purely on like other bulk wise, King Mont might work because he has good human mit, but
yeah.
compared to like with the racial mits,
But the problem
because
is she's a
her
triple
race,
race. We
yeah,
we didn't mention that, but she's a triple race in phase 3.
mm. I think because she's human demon in phase 1, human reaper in phase 2, and all three in phase 3.
Yeah,
So, like, whereas for Warrior of Light's racial medications, he gets half of the value for the first two phases and 2/3 for phase 3.
right.
Mont gets half of his higher value because I think his is 80 versus 70 or something
Yeah,
for the first two, but only 1/3 for phase 3. So he might get a bit eaten there.
yeah. But it's a good budget option for those that
Mm.
picked up Mont, honestly.
And Snow with Sylvie providing 75% Fizmit might also work
Oh
because
yeah,
he has very high general mitigation, but not very high physical.
yeah. And I
So
mean,
if you
with his
bump that up
upgrades,
externally,
he's like one of the bulkiest tanks we have, right?
on stats at least,
I think so, at least. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I mean, he's not doing much else than fight or
yeah,
mitigating, but or taking
you,
damage. But
yeah, with his own general mit and external 75 instead of his self 50, he
mm,
might do good, but
yeah,
I'm not entirely sure.
yeah. I'm just happy I can use fledgling for something serious. So I just
Yeah,
I just look forward to that. I really
yeah.
really do.
But this is definitely like an interesting full scale trial fight, even
Yeah.
if it's optional.
And what other like so if you really want to bulk it out in phase 3, you do want to bring a source of human mitigation. And I guess like Ling has weak human mitigation, right? Is there anyone else
Not
that
very
can?
much. I think hers is only like 25%.
Yeah, it's really weak.
I am also going to bring Ling though because her human and Reaper killer buffs are handy, as is her Mirage stuff, even if you're not doing the LB spam.
Right. Yeah, so maybe at least that will give us a little bit of human mitigation actually.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring him. I'm happy to bring him, and with his LB buff as well in his shift form, like he can make so that the phase lasts a bit shorter, maybe with some luck, depending on who you bring, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
it's
should be
it's a
interesting.
shame this unit wasn't buffed. Like I know others have mentioned it, and I know people have asked Gumi to fix this, and Gumi have said no. But I really feel Fledgling should have gotten a just a small fix to his cooldown that gives the LB mod so that it also applies to morale units. Like it doesn't have to be huge. It could be like 10 or something, but at least something so that you feel useful when you're using him in cow. It's a shame. But yeah, I think that's it for this week, right? Have we missed
Yeah, I
anything?
think so. Not that I've seen. There's like the usual weekly fights. One has 3k Lapis, but they're all pretty trivial. I think
Yeah,
some
there is a lot
Chronicle
of
upgrades
Lapis.
from the Mod King gear for last week that makes it a bit alright,
Yeah,
but still not amazing, as is usual for these upgraded event gears.
yeah, exactly. But at least the trials to look forward to. You're gonna get to test different units, maybe even bring different units if that's something you like. And I'm sure like Sinzar, as you said, Sinzar already has some videos up. So if you're
Yeah.
lazy, then you can probably clear these trials super fast using the god help of Sinzar.
Mm. I think his current one that's up might even actually be just like an auto repeat clear.
Oh
What?
God, okay.
No, it's oh, I think like not only if you use repeatable damage dealers, but I think like it's the sort of thing where like the breaker dies every turn and gets revived, and you
Ah,
Mirage every turn and Entrust every turn and stuff.
yeah, but one of those but it is fully safe, right? So
I
that's
think
kind
so.
of the thing. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I haven't actually gotten around to watching it, but he was telling
I've
me a
heard
bit about it.
the phase three is also supposed to be a lot of turns, so it's not going to be burning
Yeah,
it down in five turns.
it's by far the bulkiest phase, and it also yeah you can't attack every third turn, so that
Yeah,
slows you down quite a bit.
yeah.
Plus Berserk, anytime it desyncs your damage dealers, is going to take out more damage turns. But yeah,
So
I will record my attempts later.
please do. We're looking forward to it. And and for those of you that have missed it, Dream uploads her clears and trial shenanigans to our YouTube channel. But not like so. How do you do? You do it unlisted, right? So you're gonna have to go into
No,
the playlist.
the trial ones just come up as normal. The
Right, right.
unlisted was only for the like anniversary summons that I did.
Ah, okay, okay. All right, all right. So you're just gonna get like if you've clicked the bell, like we should probably say all the things, like you should ring the bell and so on, but we just don't because we don't give a fuck. Like we don't care how many people are listening, and it's probably just two of you fuckers. So ring the bell, don't
If
ring the bell, jerk off. I don't care. But
if we were those kinds of content creators, we would have turned on ads when we hit 1k subs.
yes, probably, and we would have been selling out for the living life of us, but we're not. Like we just don't care. You can do whatever you want and listen, don't. Yeah. But look forward to Dreams Clear. At least there's going to be some content there for you. Anything else? No?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know whether I'll re-record Gloomwing or not because
Maybe you should.
I already
It
cleared
sounds
it.
like it's
But yeah,
relatively trivial, though. I'm just, honestly,
yeah,
I'm just hyped about
yeah.
like Friavia being a must bring.
It is pretty simple. The main thing is, it turned out like my team that I planned like a month in advance is everyone's standard team if they have the
Yeah,
king
well,
gear.
that's the problem when you have
But that's a
Esther.
little
Like
awkward.
that's like, or rather, sorry. So I would like it sounded almost like I was blaming Esther there, but I want to say that's the problem when you have when Gumi designs really strong units because that's what everyone brings. And it brings very little variation to the game. Like you kind of have to force yourself to bring in variation, and that's a shame to me. I wish they took a book from some other gachas where creep is not at all this powerful, and it's more of a side creep rather than exponential upwards creep.
Just bit late for that. Like the whole game would need to be designed differently.
Yeah, and here's the problem. So a lot of people bash Alim, and sometimes for good reasons, such as their absolutely horrible unit design. But I think I mentioned this on a previous episode as well. One thing that Alim really tried to do with the advent of NVs is to actually make units side grades with different elements. They tried to, kind of shoehorn you into building various element teams. And for every element team, you would need specific units filling specific roles, like the element breaker, like the element buffer, and so on. And that's actually a pretty smart idea because with that idea, you don't have to do the extreme power creep upwards because you can just keep adding elements. You can keep making each element slightly stronger. Um, However, unfortunately, their unit design is so incredibly boring, and then Gumi on our side, on the GL side, has kind of ignored Alim's design, maybe even used it to their advantage in order to design units that are, GL exclusive and always a lot better.
I think the other problem with that is the content, like the content they have doesn't really match that unit design very well. Like there's not enough of it basically.
Yeah,
Each
yeah,
sure, like there's all this sideways creep, but because of how like there's only say a DV and a trial each month, you basically get one or two fights of your favorite element, and then even through that sideways creep, you're still power creeped by the time the next wave that actually matches your
yeah.
elements and stuff comes out.
No, that's for sure a big problem, right? Because there are a lot of elements, and there's not a huge chance that your element gets rerun
Mm.
soon, unless you're like extremely lucky.
Well, heck, they
Um,
they specifically seem to avoid rerunning them soon.
yeah,
Like you saw,
yeah. I mean,
they
of course, they're
basically
they're trying to make you buy, right? Like they're trying to make you go buy units because you're gonna
yeah,
need the next
yeah,
wave of elements, and you need this element and so on.
yeah. You've got to
Um,
buy X unit for Y fight, basically.
Yeah, which that I think is bad design as well. Like that's I think that making units viable for more fights, but doing this side grade element upgrade would be really healthy for the
Mm,
game. But I think Dream, you hit the nail on the head there, where the game would actually have to be redesigned at a pretty fundamental level for that to be possible. So I
yeah.
guess
I
we
mean,
just
with
have to live with this.
I feel like it's happened a lot of times with Alien where they've introduced something and then just completely undermined their own potential with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's such a huge shame, honestly. Like some of these things could have been good, um, but yeah, instead we're getting units like like Sylvie, like Roberta, like Esther, that are kind of so good that it's hard to not bring them, which just lowers the amount of variety you see in the game, which is a shame. I would like
I
more
mean,
variety. I mean,
we'll
again,
still
like
get
I'm
a
childishly
yeah.
happy about Gloomwing because I can bring Fryevia again.
Mm.
That's fun.
I'm sure we'll still get a bit of that pulse specific unit once we get into like the second half of the 12 race trials, where their like lowest weakness is 190 or 210 resistance, and you actually need that one specific Imperialer.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard about that. So I was
Yeah,
really
that,
happy to
that's
like
real
both you and
wonderful.
me. Yeah, I mean both you and me, I guess got lucky or unlucky, equally unlucky on the Ricard banner. We pulled
Yeah,
Emperor. So I guess like we're set
Emperor
for the win
and not
one.
Ricard.
Yeah.
Are we though?
Yeah, we're not.
The first win one is Reflexia, who has, out of all of the trials, the highest weakness resist of 230
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
heals at low HP.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah,
Interesting.
but we at least get one more reasonable one before then.
Yeah. One thing to say about that should just be mentioned about the high resistance trials is that element imperil fields become incredibly powerful because we are going to be imperiling down these bosses to like 80% resistance, and adding 10% or 20% more will double your damage. So that's something to keep in mind, that the units that actually have imperil fields are becoming will become quite important as well.
Like, who has a Wind Imperial field to go with that Wind Imperial for ref? It's
Isn't that like
five
Mog,
star.
right?
Yeah, 5-star Mog.
Yeah, it's weird that a
Real
mermaid
great
doesn't
when
have
trying to
it.
real great when trying to fit in 5 units.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it doesn't matter because the 20% imperil field will double your damage.
Mm,
So, it's probably worth the slot.
maybe not quite, but
Yeah,
could be.
because we're going from like what,
Mm,
230 to, and then with a
From
165
yeah,
imperil.
70 to 55 resist, so
Yeah, okay, so
30 to
not quite
45
double.
weakness. What about 1.5?
Yeah. So still really good. So I mean, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat that power in the slot. So probably.
Actually. But yeah, you still need to like tick the defensive boxes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, I think we're kind of bleeding into next or coming weeks, so let's take that talk when it gets there.
Yeah. Or
But
the coming months even.
or the coming months even, yeah, yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna be excited about the next cow unit as well. I hope not that I want to see Sylvie crept in that. Well, actually, I do want to see Sylvie crept, or I just want to see Sylvie have alternatives. So now that I've finally pulled a Sylvie, I'm really happy to have her. But I'm also hoping that the next cow unit is going to be the next Sylvie, so that we're
Yeah,
getting
with
two more elements and more killers.
Mm. Yeah, I think that there might be like a bit of a break before that happens, but because I
Yeah,
think
let's see.
like you usually like cows mostly damage dealers primarily.
True, true. Although we did get like this run of like Ling, Bulwark, Kresnik once, like 3 months in a row.
Kresnik and Bulwark were together, but
Oh, they were?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
they
right.
they were
They
they
were.
were double.
Yeah, but we did. But Ling and Bulwark were one after another, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I guess. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.
And just as a follow-up, 6 hours later, I have now decided that actually Asura sucks and I hate it, because her accuracy buff is undispellable, and so she does debuff cleanse and then undodgeable, unmitigatable attacks every turn, and you just can't survive them. Re-raise and Mirage Cheese is the only option for this fight, and it's dumb. Bye.